I wanted to talk about Jersey Shore because ever since I first fully watched it, which was in 2020, I have been obsessed. And I feel like a lot of other people feel the same way. Of course, my For You page is tailored to me, so it's going to show me the content I want to see. But there have been a few examples of celebrities and influencers within the past couple years throwing Jersey Shore themed parties. A lot of people tune into Jersey Shore Family Vacation, which is the series they have now as adults, as real adults. So I wanted to actually reflect for myself, like, what is it about this show that I love so much, and why can I just rewatch it whenever? Jersey Shore is actually MTV's highest rated series ever. Yes, I took notes on this. It went from 2009 to 2013, and I feel like that's kind of a misconception. That's not really Y2K, you know, it was definitely the 2010s. It was not early 2000s. I looked it up, and Simple Life, which is the show with Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie, started in 2003, while Keeping Up with the Kardashians started in 2007. I think the first real reality show was Real World. I've never seen it, let me know if you have, but that actually started in 1992. So what is it about Jersey Shore that makes it still to this day so iconic? I feel like at the time, it was very new, it was very fresh, it was very shocking, it was relatable, but it was trashy, and it was also unique. We didn't grow up with cable. I think we had cable for 1 year. The only real connection I had to any celebrities is when my parents would watch the Academy Awards and when I would see the tabloids in the newsstand, you know, at the checkout, at the grocery checkout. So I remember in 2009 seeing the stars of Jersey Shore on these covers, and I just have this specific memory of my 5th grade teacher. He was like known for giving these lectures. He's since passed away, rest in peace, but he was known for giving lectures, and I just remember he was really trying to prepare us for middle school. So he would give us a lot of talks on drinking, and at the time, you know, cell phone use. Technology was getting to be a little more advanced. So he would tell us these horror stories of like people drinking. And I just remember him specifically talking about Snooki and being like, you do not want to end up like her. I feel like what makes that era of reality TV and why those years are like the golden age of reality TV is because it was before social media. Finally, with these reality shows, we kind of got a glimpse of what their lives looked like because there was no Instagram, you know, there was no social media where celebrities were posting themselves, and this was even before YouTube was really what it is. I feel like in general, people are nosy, but also people want to connect with other people. And so if I can watch someone that has more social status than me, that is more beautiful than me, that has more money than me, and kind of see like, oh, they're just like me too, like they're relatable. That's what makes celebrity in general, you know, what it is. So back to Jersey Shore. I feel like just because it was so shocking and like trashy, people watched it. I feel like people probably watched it for shock value, but also it's relatable. Was there really a show like that before that showed, you know, hookups in the way that Jersey Shore does, especially girls participating in casual hookups and just drinking and making mistakes and being messy? And I feel like all the different personalities, you know, like you're gonna have your favorites, you're gonna have who you relate to, who you don't. The huge tea at the time of Jersey Shore was the state of New Jersey, as well as the Italian American communities, pissed off that Jersey Shore was giving the state a bad name and Italians a bad name. I think the state of New Jersey definitely tried to prevent MTV from filming a few times. I know that Italy definitely did. They had specific rules for where they could and could not film. And the whole thing was, oh, these people, most of them aren't even from Jersey. They're from, you know, neighboring states. But I feel like looking back, rewatching, they explain that in the first episode. Most of the cast is like, yeah, I grew up going to the shore. You know, the point of the show is not like, oh, this is what people in New Jersey are like, but it was like, oh, this is what vacationing at the Jersey Shore is like. And then the Italian Americans were pissed off because they felt like the whole Guidette thing was an unfair stereotype, and some of the cast members aren't even Italian. I think reality shows are so interesting because, especially as someone who, this is gonna, like, I hope this does not come across as like fake deep, but I feel like especially as someone who is interested in psychology and just how people interact with each other and why people do the things that they do, observing these people is so interesting. Especially a show like the original Jersey Shore, it was not scripted. They were just in that house. And then especially learning about things like patriarchy, gender roles, gender stereotypes, you can really see where that comes out in the show. In season 2, that was the last season of the original series that Angelina was in. Don't get me wrong, Angelina was so annoying to me. I would be annoyed with her. Just the way that she lies about everything and is so defensive about everything makes her so insufferable to watch. But I will say, you know, when everyone in the house is kind of ganging up on her for hooking up with multiple guys or kind of like dating this guy but then hooking up with this guy, all the boys in the house are doing that. So to really like slut shame and bring down this girl for doing that, you have to disagree with it. And I think it's also very interesting to see just the guys, you know, which guys people really love and hype up. Like, oh my God, I love Polly and Vinny because they're so wholesome and like great. But then you kind of observe how they treat girls. I feel like especially, I mean, both in different ways, but I feel like Polly especially acts very much like Mike in the first couple seasons. He just has a little bit more reserved personality, but he's treating these girls the same way. And then people are like, oh my God, he's just like such a sweet guy. He's participating in this as much as, you know, the guys that you don't like are. It's also really interesting in season 3 when Sam and Ron, I hate that. Like, I hate watching that so much. It's kind of triggering. Even though I've never been in a situation like that, it's still like just so triggering to watch. Sammy gets so mad. I guess this was like season 2 as well, at Snooki and Jenny for writing the note. And what was she even mad about? Like, for them writing the note or for them knowing and not saying? And how she carries out that beef literally until season 3 and even longer kind of with Jenny. In season 2, she's literally in bed with Ron like, oh my God, I hate those girls, when it's like they were trying to warn you about this man that you're laid up next to. And that's just another example of, you know, how we act in society, you know, how some girls are gonna act when it comes to the man that they are dating. I really love when Dina comes on the show. There's certain people I feel like they were kind of putting up, you know, or playing up their character, even though, you know, they're acting themselves, like whatever. I feel like Snooki is one of those. I feel like Mike is one of those. Low-key Polly, like low-key. But then, okay, those are also the most kind of iconic characters. Like, they were getting paid the most per season or per episode. I'm not like a Ron fan by any means, but I feel like Ron wasn't trying to put up a persona. I feel like Jenny wasn't trying to put up a persona. And I really feel like Dina was not trying to put up like a persona. Not a persona, but just like really like getting into the character, you know, or like the brand of their character or what they're known for. So love Dina. I feel like she's one of my favorite people on the show. She's just so pure and wholesome. And that's the thing too, like in season 4 when everyone's ganging up on Dina, when the boys are ganging up on Dina, I didn't like that. And then they kind of gaslight her into apologizing for shit that they should be apologizing for. I am just always so curious as to what they felt like being in that environment. And I know they've kind of said it here and there. You know, they've said things like, you ignore the cameras after a while. You literally have nothing else to do. That's why they drank so much. But I wonder that for all reality shows too. I'm sure in that situation you do get used to it. But when I think of like the Kardashians or something like that, it's like, especially their original show, it's like, I just can't imagine having a camera on me all the time. Like, how do you not just want to act like, how do you get into a fight, you know, and you know that there's cameras filming you like way less than 10 feet away, you know? Are you thinking like, what is this gonna look like when it's aired? Are you watching what you say? Or do you just get so used to it that that doesn't even really cross your mind? Jersey Shore is a really funny show, honestly. Like, people who don't know, like, they're just like, oh, it's so trashy, it's so like horrible, but it's I relate to them because, you know how they have like little nicknames for things, or like they'll just have little things that they say over and over. Like, that's literally what I do, and I'm sure a lot of you do as well. And so it just makes it like funny. Like, you feel like you're really there when you watch it. I think it's interesting too because now that they're still relevant, you know, with their show, they're still like out there, most of them, you can see what happened to them now, and also getting context from interviews they've done, or again from their show now. They'll talk about, like, when Mike talks about his addiction and how he was really going through it on the original show, and how Jenny talks about what she was going through, you know, in Italy. That's interesting as well. You know, it's like tea, but then it's also like human behavior, and like, okay, now we kind of have a little more context as to why they were acting like that. Overall thoughts, I wish you could watch it without the Sam and Ron stuff. That really ruins it for me. Not ruins, but like, I don't like watching those episodes. They're not funny, you know, they're not, it's not even like, oh, tea drama, like a Real Housewives like fight. It's like, you can tell he's abusive, and you just feel bad for this girl that's so like delusional over him. She is a Pisces also, by the way. One of my favorite episodes is definitely Where's the Beach? And then there's certain episodes in season 5 where it starts to get a little boring, but it's just like their regular life. I love when she and Dina go out together. There's this certain episode in season 5 where Snooki and Mike are kind of beefing. They're all like out day drinking, and then they're coming back like in the evening, and Mike is in the cab with Snooki and Dina, and it's that scene, I don't know why, I just love that. It's like, I feel like I was really there. I just think it's so funny. Like, it's such an entertaining show, and I think it's so funny that people, you know, some people at least, are still so like obsessed over it. We want to throw parties based on this, and it's just that feeling, you know, of being young. You're in your 20s, you can make your own decisions, but you're so immature and you can get away with certain shit. And I love that feeling of just like being with your friends. You all like crash at someone's house, or you're having a sleepover, let's make it a little more chic, and then the next day you're like debriefing, you know. It's like that feeling in a show. I don't know if this was literally any new insights, but I just kind of wanted to talk about it because I just think it's so interesting that people are still like so into it, because like literally same, like again, I will rewatch it at any time, and it just makes me excited for summer. Once I live on the East Coast, you better believe I'm going to the Shore House.